I was not worried up until now, but now that that statement's kind of been made, I'm like, that was a confusing statement. I think all he simply needed to say was Superman's the protagonist. Hey everyone, Andrew here, Super Fit Cosplay, and we are about to get a Superman movie that is jam-packed full of characters. So there's a ton of characters being introduced into James Gunn's Superman 2025, directed by James Gunn, starring David Corenswet. So I want to talk a little bit about this because James Gunn was actually asked a few days ago what it is that he's thinking in terms of, do you think there's too many characters being involved or being included in this first movie that is really kicking off that DC extended universe? So before I get into that, I want to talk a little bit about the characters that I think do work. So a couple of the franchises, well, one namely, that has kind of gotten it right. So we all remember the Avengers. Now, I know this is generally a DC channel. I talk mostly about DC. I've talked about Marvel a little bit, but what are your favorites? Are you a DC or a Marvel fan? Let me know. Comment down below. But the Avengers, all of those movies taking over, what was it, spanning almost 20 years, these movies? They worked. They worked because each movie, each film took the time to develop the character that they were telling that story about. And so when they finally all came together, it was like, oh, okay, that's cool. I can accept that because I know each and every one of these backstories. I know these characters that they wanted me to learn about. I can see that they have a place that they've come from. They've got their own inner conflict. They've got their own journey. Now I can accept that they are going to bring that team together and they're going to work together in these movies because I have a solid foundation. So it never really got convoluted. And the only way that we were really introduced to other characters, 9 times out of 10, in their solo movies was through a cutscene, for the first half. And then, we slowly introduced more and more. But that really worked. Because the thing that unfortunately I think that the Snyderverse missed out on, don't at me, but I think the Snyderverse tried to introduce too much too quickly. And whether that was a Zack Snyder choice or whether that was like a Warner Brothers DC choice, there's arguments on either side. There's people that say one thing, there's people that say the other. But I think unfortunately they tried to do too much too fast. Whereas in Marvel, you had Iron Man, kicked it off. And that was, we had to sit with that for a little while. And then came the other characters. Then came like Captain America. Then came Black Widow. Then came the Hulk. I'm going out of order here, but it's fine. I think Hulk actually came first, really. But it was a different Hulk, which we don't need to talk about. But we had that come together. And sure. Okay, so Scarlet Widow, she didn't get her own movie until after she had died in the Avengers universe, which was fine. I think that one was probably a misstep for me. I think that they probably could have done that before that, because it's when you make these movies then after the character's already dead, it's like, well, okay, where's the conflict? Like, there's nothing really to look forward to. So I don't think it was as exciting of a movie as it maybe could have been. But other than that, and I'm not talking about stuff after the Avengers, after Endgame. I'm talking about within that universe, not the stuff that came after that, right? It worked because we took the time. The Snyderverse, it tried to introduce too much, right? So we had Man of Steel, and we had that movie, that was it. We had, nothing came. We had Wonder Woman, she had her movie, that was it. But then we started Batman v Superman, and we didn't have a solo Batman movie. We never got that. We never got Man of Steel 2. Aquaman had his own movie, fine. But there was no real consistency in it, right? Was there? So it was just like all these amalgamations of different characters just coming. And then it's all of a sudden, all right, well, now we've got all these characters. What are we supposed to do with them? And then you've just got this crazy sort of Frankenstein of a movie with the Justice League, where it's like all these characters have come together, none of which we've really gotten a chance to grow with or find that foundation with. So really, it's like, much like, well, I don't know. I enjoyed I enjoyed both versions of the Justice League. I thought the Justice League was fun. It was fine. It was goofy. It was too Avengers-esque for the theme, the sort of movie that we had already gotten. Right? Like, yes, okay, we'll put it out right there. Snyderverse was very serious. It was very serious. I'm going to try to stay away from using the word dark, but it was a very serious thing. There weren't any smiling or jokes. I mean, sure, yeah, of course. There were moments where there was charm and smiling, of course, obviously. Comedy. I think we all remember Lex Luthor. Not my choice. But it's like that departed too much from that, as in the Justice League departed too much from that it was kind of like whoa, let's take a step back. This is too colorful. This is too funny. Like, what are we doing? Whereas if they had started there, I think it would have been a different story. That's another video in and of itself, because that's not talking about the characters or anything. But then we had the Snyder Cut, which was great. I loved it. I think I prefer that. Can't always have movies that are 4 hours long. I get it. 4 hours long is crazy, but it's fine. It used to work in the olden days. But it just, unfortunately, you had this amalgam of characters that you didn't have a chance to care about, because we didn't get their real nitty-gritty stories. We didn't get into their stories at all. We didn't really see what their struggles were all about, because we only had the one movie and it was too action-packed. I hate saying too action-packed for each of them. Wonder Woman was probably the best, I'd say, out of, the original movies. I loved Man of Steel, don't get me wrong. Like, I didn't get it at first, and I think I've said that before on this channel. I didn't really get it at first, but the more I watched it, the more I liked it. The Justice League, both versions, take it or leave it. Like I said, the Snyder Cut's my favorite. Wonder Woman 84, I'm sorry, but I think Wonder Woman 84 sucked. Like, it really did. My personal opinion. What did you think of Wonder Woman 84? Comment down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I really wanted that one to work. It just didn't. It just fell flat for me. I think there was too many plot holes. I think the storyline was weird. I don't know. They set it in the 80s for reasons, I'm sure, but whatever. It just didn't do it for me. But yeah, anyway. So that's where I think it doesn't work. Introducing too many characters at the same time. With the Avengers, it did, because we had that time to really, really, really get used to these characters and see what their story was. And they all brought those stories together. Like, there were just little things in each movie that, like, began to become a puzzle piece. That would just come together at some point, and then it's like, oh, okay, I get it. This all makes sense now. Granted, there's a lot of stuff in the Avengers movies where I'll be like, oh, wait a minute, I gotta watch those movies again, because I can't really remember what happens in each movie, because a lot does happen in each movie, but in each movie, a lot does happen with the character that the movie's about, minus Civil War, which was really an Avengers movie. It wasn't a Captain America movie. But they gave him that probably for some kind of contractual thing. Oh, yeah, we'll put your name in the movie. But that was an Avengers movie. It's fine. But that's where it works. So, okay, back to Superman 2025. They are introducing a lot of characters into this movie. We've got Hawkgirl, we've got Green Lantern, we've got Superman, we've got Lex Luthor, we've got potentially Ultraman, we've got Krypto. Obviously, your normal characters like Lois, Jimmy, Perry White, and all that stuff. But there's a lot happening. So, how does this relate? Okay, so now we're going to go take a look at the movie Oppenheimer. So how does the movie Oppenheimer relate to Superman? So this is what James Gunn was talking about when he was asked, do you think there's too many people in this movie? So when asked, James Gunn had this to say. No, not really, because I've screened the movie for so many people and saw that people aren't confused. So I know from fact that it's not confusing. We're used to seeing movies with protagonists, and Superman is definitely the protagonist of Superman. And he has his work friends, and he has his play friends, Gunn explained. Now, I don't know if the Justice Gang are his play friends, or if his work friends at the Daily Planet are his work friends or his play friends, but that's the two groups of his friends from different places. And just because they have insignias on their costumes or superpowers doesn't mean they're not like any other supporting character in the movie. Gunn then goes on to say, I think Oppenheimer has 3 times as many speaking roles as we do, so I think people are fine. Okay, first of all, that was way too many uses of the words friends. Like, I was confused reading that. I get it. Like, I get it. I get it. I get it. But that like, it's too many words. Already, I'm kind of confused by that answer, which is kind of worrying. But I get what he's saying. I do get what he's saying. And it's interesting. Like, we did have a new trailer. They called themselves the Justice Gang or whatever it was. I do think it's interesting that he is comparing it to Oppenheimer because he's right. Like, I just recently watched Oppenheimer for the first time the other day, and there are a lot of people in it. And I was confused. Like, it was a lot of back and forth. There was a lot of timeline changes, and it was kind of hard to keep up. Maybe that's just me. How did you feel about Oppenheimer? But the other thing is the difference there is that Oppenheimer is based off of historical figures. So it's kind of like you can't sort of negate that. Like, you have to do that. Whereas this is not based on historical figures other than historical comics. So you don't need to put everything in there right away. But I think that to say that people are fine because they could keep up with a historical drama versus a movie that's a lot of characters are thrown into is kind of two very different things. Again, I think if he can keep it so that Superman is the protagonist, but the Green Lantern, the Hawk Girl, all that, they are side characters, I think we can do really well. But I guess we're not going to really know until the movie's out how big of a role that these characters play, right? But I just thought that was a really interesting take on it. I think his statement in and of itself confused me a bit because there's too many words. I think he overcomplicated that one a little bit, which does worry me. So if he's overcomplicating his answer, what's the movie going to look like? Now, at this stage, we are 2 weeks out. So I'm actually going to see the movie 2 weeks from this Saturday with my buddy David here in Australia at Gold Class. I'm very excited. So we have some thinking to do. Like, I think if we go in there with an open mind, knowing that there's a lot of characters in it, having that kind of Oppenheimer mentality, maybe we'll be like, all right, we can keep up with this. But like, if he's comparing it to Oppenheimer, I don't know. Like, I just don't know. I was not worried up until now, but now that statement's kind of been made, I'm like, that was a confusing statement. I think all he simply needed to say was Superman's the protagonist. We're not going to have too many characters. The characters are going to be much more secondary than we think. That's what I'm hoping for. But what it is looking for is that this movie is going to open up with a ton of superheroes, as in the superhero game has already been established. So maybe that's fine. But how deep they go into it, I guess we'll see. But it's been very interesting to have that little talk in my mind. I think I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. What do you think about all these characters being introduced all at once? Comment down below. Let me know. You guys are great. I love it when you talk. I love it when you get the community going. But that's all I really have to say about that. Look, if you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, subscribe, hit that notifications bell, ding ding, share it with your friends. Do become a member if you can consider that. It starts at like $1 a month or $1.99 a month or something. Get some extra footage of stuff that you haven't seen before, early footage, that sort of thing. Definitely find me at superfitcosplay on Instagram. If you are health and fitness minded, you can visit tropica.com.au. Use my coupon code superfitcosplay for 10% off. That'd be great too. But yeah, look, thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you next time.